Hey, what's up everybody, Bdf 44 coming into another video. Alright, so man, walking toward the target. I don't know if I'm gonna stop in there or not. It depends on how soon I get there and how quickly I believe I'll be able to get out. Game starts at 4:30. It's like almost 4 o'clock now, and I'm like almost an hour away, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm actually gonna stop or if I'm just gonna go straight home. But what I can say is I'm definitely making a good college try at trying to accomplish what my goals were for this day. The last NBA trade that took place threw my whole day off. They started to make all these big trades when I only have a few hours to get things done. And so, of course, me, dedicated, had to make a video, so I didn't get a chance to leave the house when I was intending to. Luckily enough, I got up an hour earlier than I usually do, or I'd have been even more so late in regards to how my day is planning out. But, you know, dedication is what it's all about. That's kind of been the theme. It's just staying dedicated, staying motivated, staying on top of what it is I'm trying to do, so I can continue to see the results that I'm ultimately trying to see. Getting through lulls when I'm prone to not necessarily stay on point is to continue to push through that. And so that's what I'm trying to do right now. Just push through what I feel is a lull. My mind's been wanting to eat bad foods. My body kind of been feeling less motivated to exercise, that kind of thing. Just push through that poor DNA. In those moments when that poor DNA flares up, as I was mentioning in my last video. So yeah, I encourage everybody to check that video out because I think it could be helpful for a lot of people. But that's not actually what I'm here to talk about. That wasn't particularly what I'm talking about. It's just what I'm doing. You know, everything that's going on in the world today is just revealing to us all the evils that are out there and nonsense that people are engaging in. You know, devil worship and all different types of stuff people on. Racism that is fueled by capitalism and devil worship furthermore. This is a lot of evil going on in the world, man, and we gotta, if we're going to win these battles, try to see what street I'm on, Oxnard. We gotta find ourselves walking away from some of the things that ultimately everybody else is doing. Walking away from just the evil in the world as we know it, man, and going towards something greater than ourselves, so that we can fend off that for which is trying to rope itself around us, try to strangle us with its ways. You know, it's a really wicked world, man, and what's being exposed to us is just how wicked it is. But as I said at the beginning of the genocide that's taking place, Israel is not the only evil out there. It's not the only evil out there. It may be the loudest, it may be the most powerful that we know of, the Zionist Jews, ball worshiping devils. They may be the loudest, but they're not the only ones. And it was something I was following. Is a lady that I follow. She's from Iran or Iran. I'm not sure if I'm saying it properly. I usually try to say Iran. That's what I hear them say. But she was essentially saying that there's two things could exist at the same time. You could identify what America and Israel is trying to do in her country and not be cool with it, while not supporting a tyrannical government in place currently in her country, which is her perspective on the government in Iran. The way it's presented to us is, if you're on the side of the government of Iran, you're on the good guy side. And if you're for overturning the Iranian government, you're essentially welcoming Western imperialism into the fold. The bad guy side, based on what we definitely understand about what the Zionists and the Americans are doing right now in other areas. The last thing you need is Zionism controlling Iran. But essentially what she's saying from her perspective is, you also don't need to be allowing the people who currently to control Iran to continue to. Supporting their government from her perspective is a bad thing. You should want their government out, but you shouldn't want them replaced with the people that that the Western world is trying to put in there. It's essentially her position. And there are a lot of Iranian people and pro-Palestinian people who are not taking that position for their various different reasons. And as a person on the outside looking in, I'm just saying, well, I'm a pro-Palestinian, anti-Zionist person. I'm likely to think of whatever supports keeping them out of power being the right thing, but that doesn't necessarily have to be true, because the Zionists are not the only devil in the room. For all I know, the Iranian government is exactly as evil as she said they are. You could have two evil entities fighting amongst one another for the power over the Iranian state, or the Iranian country rather. That can be true. And if we lose, while we're focused on fighting the devil that we know, we could be ignoring the devil we don't, thinking that we're doing the right thing because we're keeping him out, but failing to kick him out, so to speak. I pay very close attention to her point of view, and I wonder if her point of view is skewed by certain positions that she takes as a Western person from Iran. With respect to her, I don't know this woman, but I understand that she likes to wear her hair down. She likes to go out. She's a young person. She's probably in her mid-20s. She likes to go to the club. She has, I think she's part of the rainbow flag category of people. They tend to do their thing their own way, you know what I mean? They love how they love. So, with that being said, does her position against the Iranian government have more to do with them not allowing her to be herself, so to speak? And is that riddled in something that I would consider to be a lacking in proper defenses against certain evils? Is that driving her position that she wants Iran to be more secular? And if so, is her position on the government based on them not allowing people to be? How much more secular should Iran want to be versus what it is they're allowed to be? Not my call. I don't have context as to understand how horrible it may be for some to live in those spaces where they're run by people who desperately do not want skin to be shown, pornography to be anywhere in their midst. They're trying to guard against certain things. And some of that stuff is for their betterment to guard against. Now, what methods you take to guard against it and to how far you're willing to force people into guarding against those things could determine how people feel about you. But that you're trying to keep certain things out of their lives may be for their betterment, and that they want to welcome them things in could be to their detriment. That's the conversation that I want to have with her. How much of this stuff that you want should you actually want? And how much of that is driving your vitriol toward those who are keeping you and others from having it? Yes, they need to move out because they're going about it the wrong way. They're trying to force people into living a certain way that may be very maybe disregarding of a lot of freedoms that maybe they're deserving of. But if you take that too far, you're allowing some evils in that they've done a good job of keeping out. You don't want to go all the way American, all the way Western world there. You don't want to do that. Because a lot of the stuff that we're kind and comfortable with is bad for us. It's why we find ourselves in the circumstances we're in as a country. Because we've allowed too much of this stuff into our midst. Which is essentially the fundamental differences between conservatism and liberalism. Because liberalism, at its most raw, wants to let every damn thing in the door. And conservatism wants to keep everything out in the name of Christianity, if it's done correctly. There needs to be a medium between the two, I believe, and most importantly, an understanding as to why it's important to keep certain things out, so that we'd be properly motivated to protect against certain evils. And I think that this young person may be all the way on the side to let everything in. And I'm afraid it may be skewing her position on what should be necessary right now. A lot of people who are arguing with her are essentially saying, we understand that the Iranian government is bad, but if you overthrow the Iranian government right now, who's coming in is a lot worse. So maybe you need to fend off that evil first, and then when the coast is clear, focus on how to fix the government you have right now and put the people in there that ultimately represent the people well. She's not necessarily taking that position. I don't think from what I've listened to, I don't think she's provided solutions necessarily for the current regime. She just knows that it shouldn't be a problem that they come out. But she definitely understands why those who are trying to knock on the door should not be coming in. But you can't have both. Not right now. Not with Israel saying, we're coming in. You can't have both. You can't be on the side of overthrowing the bad Iranian government, quote unquote, when the devil is literally at the door saying, I'm taking over, when you do. But when you're so desperate to have what it is that you want be done, even no matter what, you're so desperate to let your hair down and love whoever you want to love, that it steers you toward not being patient enough to make sure the devil at the door is not coming in when you're kicking the bad guy out that ultimately you've deemed as an oppressor. And she won't hear none of that. And I think that it's motivated by the wrong things within her specifically. I think it's motivated by the wrong things. I think the urgency to move the tyranny, the bad government out is driven by her own intentions and her lifestyle and what she wants to see everywhere in her country. But there is no solution other than a bad one if you're kicking out your government right now. They could be the worst government in the world, but you're letting the devil in. He's worse. There's a such thing as worse. You don't want to let worse in the door. And the government that you feel is horrible may be horrible, but you can't misjudge how horrible it is versus the devil at the door because of your own personal intentions. Because of what it is that you're not seeing happen that is so important to you, but may not actually be what's best for your country at all. I wish I had her name in mind. I could tell y'all exactly who she is. And I really do think her heart's in the right place. I just think that she's a bit immature. I think she's a young person who wants what she wants when she wants it. And most importantly, she's had some history with this government to where she can't go back home because she stuck her neck out there and said some things about them. And then not everywhere is free speech. You can't have free speech everywhere. In her country, the stuff that she said makes her a target. And so, of course, to her specifically, they're the worst people in the world. Because of the methods that they go about to silence those who who speak out against it. Which is reasonable. It's reasonable. Especially when you grew up in America, especially when you adapt to American freedoms. You want to be able to use your voice. I'm using my voice right now. So of course I'm going to be along the side with people who should be able to use their voice. Yeah, I want to be able to say whatever I want to say and not be locked up for it or assassinated for it or whatever the hell. Had the government coming and knocking on my door. And if I have an experience like that with my government, then of course it's going to enhance my intention in regards to wanting to go back at them, see them ousted, and I'm going to measure them just as bad as I measure the bad guys who are knocking at the door. You see what I'm saying? Because they've shown me how bad they can be. They pointed at me. I get her when she says that. She can't go back home because she talked bad about this government. So when you ask her what's worse, Israel or them, she gonna say same thing. Ain't no difference. The reality is, there may be a big difference. And with the absence of that experience that she had, she may be able to measure it in a more balanced way. It's dangerous. The devil creates those environments so that you can mismanage your balance, so that you can misjudge what's worse. That is in place for a reason. That's not happenstance. The devil created that for you so that you could be the voice that brings forth a certain mismeasurement that would otherwise allow the devil in the room. I said all to say that we need to be very careful not to allow our personal experiences coupled with our personal desires influence our measurements when looking at what's best and what's not, or what's worse between two things. Because that is a manipulated perspective that the devil tends to create for the influential to mull over. He created that so that you would lay it on a little thick as it pertains to how bad these guys are versus how bad the real bad guys ultimately are. They could be very bad, both of them. But is it as urgent as to move on from this government right now as to allow a vacant space for the devil to walk in? No, it ain't that damn urgent. It ain't that urgent. It's not. If you're going to be measuring the lesser of two evils, you got to do it from a reasonable space. And if what motivated you to speak out against them in the first place was something that the devil put in place to begin with, then you had lost the game before you even tipped the ball up. I want to tell people, and I don't have perspective to know if what I'm saying is accurate or not. I don't have that perspective. I'm just weighing it from my position, listening and filtering everything through my mindset and through my experiences as an older person than her. A little older. I didn't had my wants betray me enough times. Things that I wanted play out a certain way to where it deteriorated the best of me after a while. I wanted to smoke weed every night. I was uncomfortable when I didn't have it. I saw what happened when I smoked it for long enough time. It didn't make me better. I enjoyed it in the moment, but in the end, it ended up messing up my throat. It ended up messing up my lungs. It ended up messing up my mindset. What I wanted so bad and what I was willing to fight for was not for my betterment. And I was willing to fight for it. Now I spend that same energy trying to discipline against it. My position to fight to assure that myself and others have it is not something that I'm vehement about, because I've lived long enough to see my wants betray me. The same thing that I was so desperate to want proved itself to not be good to me. And this is extremely important for young people, because a lot of times young people will die on a hill of that nature and measure out the lesser of two evils the wrong way based on that lack of context. But this ain't no good for you. And if somebody's trying to keep you from it, may not be the worst thing for you. Now, how they go about it will determine their character. And if they go about it the wrong way, then we look at them as a bad guy. But that doesn't mean that their initial point isn't the right point. They just may be going about it in a very bad way. They may not be the person to push forward the agenda based on how wacky they are about how they go about things. They may be the wrong person to push forward this agenda, but it may be the right agenda. It may not need to be put on full throttle, but maybe to a point it should probably be engaged in, or adapted to, or appreciated, or whatever the word would be. I said all that to say because I want people to understand that this could be another form of what you're running into in your own life. We're dealing with a lot of devilishness in this world, and to be honest with you, it's hard to see clearly. It's hard to see clearly. You don't know who your friend is in a lot of cases. You don't know who is the worst of two evils. You don't know if it's best to kind of get this person out and let somebody replace that, because this person ain't that great and that person may be bad, but maybe not as bad, or maybe a little worse, but maybe you can deal with that because they attack different things when they're being worse. And the things that these people attack, though not as bad, may be, intolerable to you, like whatever the case may be. As confusing as that sounds, I think this is a template that other people run into in different ways. And you're trying to figure out whether you should stay with a certain job or leave a certain job, whether you should figure out if you want to listen to one parent or the other, or whether you want to stay with this person or get with somebody else. These type of things, you can measure these things out the wrong way. Have yourself looking at things the wrong way and messing up before you even get started because of how you initially started the process of thinking whatever you thought that had you dying on whatever hill. You didn't need to be doing none of that stuff. If you saw how it played out, it probably wouldn't have been no good for you. You didn't need none of that. Maybe that applies to her, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. But that's where my mind went. That's where the Lord put me. When experiencing what it is she was, displaying on her channel. That's where the Lord placed my head. He was like, yo, check this out. This is what you can take from it. It's probably best I don't say her name in this video, just in case I'm wrong. I could be way off. But I think the point of what I'm trying to make probably will still apply to somebody. Sometimes we just got to understand what's for our betterment versus what is not. What makes us worse? You know what I'm saying? And as it pertains to certain things that we allow ourselves to do because we want to do it. Oh, I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to show a little skin. I want to be able to love who I want to love. Some of that stuff lets the devil in the door in a real way. Sometimes it's the presence of that being guarded against that creates the environment that has us on the path of ushering the devil in our lives. Got to be careful not to let certain things happen. A lack of discipline, a lack of accountability, lack of maturity, or whatever the words would be. Don't let that create the environment that has you welcoming the devil in the door instead of the disciplinarian. Think of another analogy involving parents. Your mother telling you not to smoke weed like mine did. Don't you smoke that weed, you don't need that weed. I need the weed. And I'm angry at you for telling me not to smoke it. My desire to smoke weed created a rift between me and my mother. She didn't have that much time to live. First, the weed wasn't even that great for me. I mean, I enjoyed it at times. A good majority of the time, it was eating up my money and not giving me the highs that I most appreciated. More than half of the time. Right? She's telling me something that's for my betterment. And it created a rift between me and her. Because I wanted the freedom to do what I wanted to do. And she wanted what was best for me. And I would have none of it. Like, don't we understand how that could be a big problem in our lives, ladies and gentlemen? We're welcoming the wrong things in our lives in the name of stuff that we should not even have any desire for. At the expense of something that's for our betterment. That may not even be around in our lives for much longer. And at that time, my mom only had like 3 years left to live. Every moment I should have been spending soaking up all her wisdom. And the time that I spent not speaking with her because I was angry with her for her telling me not to take on something that I shouldn't have wanted any damn way was precious time that I could have been figuring out whatever it is she had to share with me. Or soaking up memories that could carry me forward. The stupidity I was engaging in and embarrassing childishness that was driving my very righteous intention to have the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. Very righteous intention. That's just a reasonable intention. I want to do whatever I want to do. But sometimes the things you want to do ain't no good for you. Sometimes the things you want today are the things you're going to hate tomorrow. Going to bring so much pain into your life tomorrow. And you'll fight for the right. You'll take on something that's horrible for you. It's silliness, childishness. It doesn't bring us no happiness in our lives, man. And I want to encourage people to just think about that. Think about that. Think about what it is I just described to you. Because at the end of the day, we're all faced with that to some degree, man. We're all faced with that idea that, you know what? Maybe what it is that I want ain't no good for me. Maybe that fight that I was having with that person that was telling me not to have it really wasn't for my betterment at all either. And I'm in the wrong. I'm in the wrong. You know? That's what I want to share with you guys. I hope that hit home with somebody. I hope somebody was able to receive that the right way. You know what I'm saying? Hope you're able to receive that in a way that allows for you to consider some things, because the devil would love for us not to consider the fact that our wants are no good for us. The enemy would love to usher in his intentions by way of our defiance to what is for our betterment, and having us mismeasuring things, supporting something that he has going on. You know what I mean? He would love to do that. Bdf 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.